Welcome back to Breakfast Central. This brand new week, I have Olive Emodi. Very excited to have our third man back, but before he gets to introduce himself, because we have to do a special welcome for him, Benga, over to you.
I'm Benga Bola. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Brand new week. We have a lot for you today on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday. And then because we know you guys miss us, we now gave Nigerians opportunity of employment to do it on Saturday and Sunday.
With breakfast extra.
Instead of taking it 7 days, because even God rested on the seventh day.
Right.
Okay.
Now, with great joy in our heart, we want to announce to you the return of the third Avenger of Nigeria's media, the one and only Johansson, all the way from River State, Port Harcourt. It's a pleasure to have you back, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That looks good on you.
So great.
I must be honest, Port Harcourt is amazing. It's fantastic. The people there are beautiful people. Mwah. Thank you so much, Port Harcourt.
We hear that they almost beat you in Port Harcourt.
We saw you on TV. There was a little bit of a hula baloo.
Yeah,
Can you explain the rancor and the shenanigans that was going down?
Well, it was a case of having people who, you know, it was a family meeting, just like you have family meetings, you know, and then you have people who are not okay with
there was a man with a
aggressors.
microphone. What did that man say that triggered them?
So all he simply said was he was talking about the FCT minister, and the way in which he put it, a certain quarter didn't like the fact that he was pointing fingers at the FCT minister, and they said no, he shouldn't say that. He should take his words back. And another faction was saying, what do you mean? Why can't he talk?
I mean, it's a town hall.
After all, is he not from River State?
Yeah.
And then there were some people who were saying this man is not from River State, and he's like, I'm from River State. I'm from Billy. What's that? Yeah.
Obiakpo?
No. Is it Billy community or where?
Oh yes,
yes. We had that report as well, and he spoke, and everybody said, well, so what we had that day is a case of you have people who are supporting and those who are not supporting.
Of course, it was bound to happen. But as a professional MC and moderator, how did you wriggle your way out of that? How do you rig my roll out of those shenanigans?
What's going on this morning?
Is Benga drinking something? Let's find out.
No, please answer our question. Oh, maybe it's my English that is too high.
No,
your English is
it's
more. You need to calm down.
I went to school.
You know, he just came back from Port Harcourt, so I have to impress him.
What we could do was just to appeal to them. That we need to. You know, funnily, before we started, I had mentioned that, you know, each person may flare up. You know. Tensions would be in the air, so everyone should get ready to just, you know, take it down, and then it happened.
I think it's not surprising that happened in River State, because in River State we've seen that there have been divergent views before even the state of emergency was declared. We've seen those who are the pro-Wike, the pro-Fuba, even though we are hearing that there might be a reconciliation in the air, which we'll be happy to see, because at the end of the day,
it was said that
we want to move on.
It was said that by the Ijaw National, you know, the president himself. He said that he's part of the reconciliation team.
Oh, the gentleman with the white beard.
With the white hat.
Okay.
And he said he's part of the reconciliation team, you know, and they've already met. Background, I like his speech. He was the penultimate speaker. You know, when he came, he simply said, he just laughed. He made it a bit easier and said, listen, he said, all of you fighting. FCT minister and the governor will settle on your head.
Hey!
You know, that people are just wasting.
It's giving couple vibes. You know, with couple, it's like, don't put your mouth inside husband and wife.
Exactly. That was his speech. I mean, you don't need to. Don't worry. They will settle. And he's part of them, so he's not going to say much, but he can tell you that they're close and they're going to settle. So everybody should just sheath their swords and they should just move ahead.
No. My own is, why did they have to fight the kind of fight that would jeopardize governance in the state? They should have fought their couples fight. Haven't you seen when couples are fighting, but their parents or family friends will come to the house and they'll put up a nice face for the public? They should have done that for us. Please, it has caused too much mayhem. We are tired of the drama that it has caused. We want River State to move forward.
But kudos to News Central and management for putting this up. And it was a town hall to remember. The first town hall with a little bit of a rancor.
Yeah.
I mean, is River State living up to its reputation?
It was almost like Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Anyway, well done to all the people that showed up in Rivers State for the town hall. And that is the delectable Johnson, broadcaster of international repute there, handling and moderating the affairs in Rivers State. And now back in the studio with us here on Breakfast Central.
Yeah, a living legend.
Yeah. So he's not the only one who traveled. There's been a lot of traveling in recent times, from Johnson and the New Central Gang traveling to Rivers State. We also have the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria traveling to, meet the Pope Leo XIV in Rome. And it was a royal welcome and a very interesting celebration that happened over there. Joe, did you also go to cover that?
No, I did not. I couldn't get a connecting flight.
Oh, I see.
Well, look, Mr. President.
Looking dapper.
That's Mr. President. He was all looking dapper.
I love his suit.
A bespoke suit.
He's wearing.
Yeah, he's wearing a peak lapel. His pants are that of a bit similar to a Giorgio Armani pant. I don't know what brand it was. I mean, I like his shades as well. I mean, this is what we're talking about. Dressed like for the occasion. Boy.
Yeah, he looks really good. The suit suits him, and I mean, I think that it's a very welcome development. We can see him there shaking hands with the Pope, receiving blessings for the great country of Nigeria. Holy blessings from the room.
Tap into those blessings.
I was expecting that people would say, I tap into your, the usual thing that we hear every now and then. But the good news is, the president wasn't alone. You could see his son was equally there. But the social media is still agog with the fact that many have said, why would he always go with his son? And everybody
is it my son he's supposed to go with?
No, but if his son is traveling on the first lady.
Taxpayers.
People are asking where's the first lady.
He has businesses. He has money of his own. So if he's traveling, if he decides to go with his father, he can pay his own bills.
Oh.
How much is flight from Lagos to Rome?
Oh. People were asking, where's the first lady? We're expecting the first lady to go with him. And hopefully we're also expecting that if she goes with him, I mean, it would have added more. And I'm like, listen, Nigerians, we worry ourselves
We complain too much. If she had gone, they would still say, oh, is there an office of the first lady? She go, they will talk. She would not go. Let's focus on the things that, have issues that we should be bothering ourselves with.
But my concern is, after this meeting with the Pope, the President met with the architects, those ones that built Rome in a day, because things need to be done in Nigeria. And although they say Rome was not built in a day, we need roads to be fixed. We need the state of health care. We need schools to be fixed. So if the President had met with the planners of Rome, although it wasn't built in a day,
maybe they can help Nigeria to build it in a day. They'll see what they did wrong to ensure that we don't repeat the same
Rome might not be built in a day, but Abuja and Lagos and Nigeria can be built in a day.
Anyway, former minister was equally there. Mr. Kayode
Fayemi,
was there as well. And yes,
and Mr. Peter Obi, yes,
was there. But one thing I didn't really understand was the fact that the essay, I mean, there was a picture. Yeah, that's the picture. There was also a picture where the president was seated, and you could find Mr. Peter Obi at the back, and they moved closer. Nigerians, again, have gone on social media to say, look at how excited everybody was when they saw Peter Obi. And you can't help but look deeply and say, okay, everybody was smiling, but it depends. And because Nigerians said this, the SA to the president, Bayo Onanuga, had to come out and put out a tweet to say, calm down, let me explain what was going on, why the president was laughing, the son was laughing, everyone was laughing. I mean, he went on to say, Fayemi cited President Tinubu where he sat with other leaders and asked Obi to follow him to pay homage to the Nigerian leader. Obi agreed. This is like a Tales by Moonlight story.
Please continue this story.
I love it. Fayemi broke the ice between Obi and Tinubu. He said,
Mr. President, welcome to our church and thank you for honoring the Pope with your presence.
President Tinubu, ever quick-witted, responded,
I should be the one welcoming you and Peter. I'm the head of the Nigerian delegation.
The president's response cracked up Obi, who agreed with the president. Obi said,
yes, indeed, we are members of your delegation.
Peter Obi and Fayemi are staunch Catholics and Papal Knights. End of this story.
What a beautiful story. And that's Madam Bianca Ojukwu in the background, the Minister of State for
What's the moral of the story?
I don't get it. Was it really necessary?
No, what's the moral?
The moral of the story is that in politics, don't fight to the finish. Still have some level of decorum and civility at that level. Because when you see their supporters on social media, it's gutter language sometimes, it's really, really personal. But look at the people you're fighting.
They will see each other. Obi will still say...
very cordial and respectful to each other.
Obi will still say the president is his senior brother.
And all of that. Then the other angle, that Mr. Bayananuga's angle, was this necessary, really?
No, it wasn't necessary. I think that
the picture already tells the story. So it's not, oh, this is... I mean, he's just doing his job at the end of the day.
No. There's an extent to which you will do your job. There's
doing it too much.
It's our schedule. You know, that one is what they call a schedule. It's doing too much. That particular one, it wasn't necessary.
Is it over syllabus?
You didn't need to explain why a president and a former governor / presidential aspirant, they battled against each other. Peter Obi has never been a bitter person. Peter Obi is one that they know that has this good spirit of sportsmanship, and it's expected that the president, as the president of the Federal Republic of the country of Nigeria and the father of the nation, will be cordial too. So I didn't expect that there will be animosity between them when they see each other. You know, and people will be very, very...
No, you're speaking as a sophisticated person. He had to break it down for ordinary Nigerians.
He had to break it down because
I don't know.
Exactly.
Things.
Like I said, some people were saying that, oh, look at how it was much more like they were beaming the light on Mr. Peter Obi.
They will always beam the light on Mr. Peter Obi.
Look at how everyone is happy.
Be the bigger person, ignore and move on.
And I'm like, they said, look at how everybody's happy around him. Even the son of the president.
That's social media just being social media.
I think social media being social media.
People that are jobless looking for stories to make out of nothing. That's what really it is.
Yeah, you shouldn't catch debate every time.
Exactly. Sometimes just let it go. Yeah. You don't have to explain and be an essay in every scenario. That's not. It wasn't really necessary. Sometimes in addressing certain issues, you're then bringing attention to it that wasn't really necessary, and I think that was what was done there.
Yeah. I think Rome should be the new city of love instead of Paris.
Why do you say that?
You could see the romance. In Rome, things are romantic. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's move to from that very pleasant, quote-unquote pleasant story to something not so pleasant. The reports of many being trapped as a building collapsed.
Yet again.
Last week we talked about a building collapse. This week we're talking about yet another building collapse. Let's take a look at the video of the building collapse. It's really adding to this troubling part of the building collapses that we see in different parts of the country, and wonder again, how much are we, or how better prepared are we to prevent repetition of scenarios like this, where we keep seeing buildings collapsing? Do we end up holding anybody accountable, or is it just a situation of, God gives and God takes, we'll bury the dead and, we'll continue like that? Are there strong measures to forestall this? I'll give you a quick background. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a childhood friend, and we're talking about one of the houses in which we grew up in. It wasn't the most pleasant house. And he was asking me, do you know if that house is still standing? I said, I don't know. I haven't been there in many years. But I certainly hope that house is not standing, because that house did not deserve to stand. That was a house that should have been pulled down. It shouldn't have been built in the first place.
What state?
In Lagos State here. It shouldn't have been built in the first place. I mean, but the truth is, unfortunately, Nigerians, when you are faced with challenges, you don't have a lot of money. You're trying to manage and look for how to make ends meet. You then pay for such a house. But you see the house is as narrow as 2 slices of bread, and any minute now, it can fall down. And you start to see cracks on the wall. You can see the cracks there, and these landlords are still having the nerve to increase their rents. There's certain houses that should not be erected, and even if they've been erected, they should be pulled down.
That's why we have a building control agency to regulate.
I should probably go and find out if the house is still standing, so I can report to
regulate the building space, and also mark buildings that can't stand the integrity test for demolition. It's the right of the government to protect lives of citizens. They have that responsibility. But I know they might have manpower challenges, and they expect people to regulate. That's why we have the Nigerian Society of Engineers. That's why we have Coren and others, other groups with members. So you know that the engineers, the builders, the surveyors are not quacks. It's professionals that are doing this. But government can be in every single square meter of the state. We expect people to do things in the best, in the interest of the public good. But unfortunately, that's not always the situation, and we see things like this. But it's become tiring. We almost sound like robots. It's repetitive every time this happens. Okay, we're going to set up an inquiry to look into this. We never hear the results. We never hear X or Y person was fired or persecuted. Lives are always lost here. Until we do something about it, holistic, sadly, we're waiting for the next one to happen.
I mean, this happened on Sunday, just yesterday at about 3 p.m. They were able to rescue only one person so far. I don't know about this morning. We hope that, I mean, hopefully our correspondent will be there this morning, and hopefully they can join us from there to find out what the update is. From the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Services, a spokesperson, I mean, he said that it was a sad situation. They're only able to rescue just one person. Efforts were ongoing up until midnight. But don't forget that, like you've highlighted, both, I mean, Olive and Binga, it's just too common. It's starting to look common. Olive had mentioned about where she grew up. You took me back to where I also grew up. I mean, at some point, the house was tilting this way, you know. And even when we left, some few years ago, I decided to go back. I mean, it's in Surulere. I had to go back to Surulere just to pass by. You know, sometimes you have to go look back from where you came from. Yeah. And I saw the building. It was still caving this way.
Oh my God.
And cracks were all over everywhere.
Are there people living there?
You could find the iron.
Of course, there are people living there.
People are there.
Of course, we have a housing problem. People are struggling. People are poor.
It's tough. People are there. But
whatever they can afford.
Yeah, but life doesn't have a substitute. They need to do something. Another thing I want to highlight from that video, and we see this a lot, is when disasters like this happen, people gather. You need to make way for fire service, emergency services. It's not a spectacle. It's not a circus. It's not entertainment for you to take out your phones and start recording. Nigerians need to do better. Please, it's not necessary for you to go there. The first responders are there. Fine, thank God. Make a call the fire service, and go back to what you were doing. It's not a viewing center. It's really sad that we see things like that.
I mean, just to give the latest update that we have from NEMA regarding that story, they put out a tweet 12 hours ago, and in that tweet, they made reference to this two-story building that collapsed. It was under construction, located at Ishaga Road, opposite the Central Mosque in Idiaraba, Mushin. And then they said upon arrival at the scene, emergency responders commenced immediate search and rescue operations. And so far, 2 individuals have been successfully rescued and transported to a nearby hospital for medical attention. The search and rescue operations are still ongoing, with NEMA working alongside other relevant stakeholders, including LASEMA, the fire service, police, and local volunteers, to ensure that no one is left trapped under the rubble. So they've said that further updates will be given. So far, that's all that they've given. There hasn't been, you know, more updates in that regard. But our hearts, again, would always go out to the citizens who, unfortunately, have to be the ones to bear the brunt of this kind of stories. Really sad. But this is also a reminder to us, since we are all sharing stories of our childhoods, for people who are in houses, I think as much as we can, we also have a responsibility to be our own, to work with the government. If we see certain buildings that you think are not, they're about to, you know, cave, they're going to cave under the weight of pressure, on that, you know, you're starting to see cracks, it's important to highlight these things. Because what you're doing is, now I look like you're a snitch, but you're saving the lives of the people.
But who are they going to report to as well?
I mean, Lagos State Building Control Agency.
But are they accessible? What's their phone number?
We should
actually bring them on the show.
Do they
Lagos State
advertise?
Secretariat, all the government in government agencies are there.
I mean, I don't mean to play devil's advocate here, but I think from the time where Lagos suffered multiple collapses, it was a call to action for Lagos to say, listen, let's drive conversations. It's the same thing that's going to happen with the real estate that is ongoing now. I'm sure you saw the buildings that were demolished along the Lekki axis, where people were building the Sandfield Canal and they built houses. People paid close to about, I think those houses were going for about 120 to 180 million, and they demolished about 34. Now, everybody who paid for those houses, the true story came out with proof, video proof, that they had to settle the Lagos State representatives who came there to have cordoned off the place and warned them not to build. We heard, according to that video, and the proof is online, that they settled them 5 million each. And then they turned the other way and let them build. They finished the building, put it out for sale. People bought the houses. People moved in. It's been years gone, and then Lagos State comes back and says, "Who gave you guys the right to build this?" So the same thing with the houses, going down, collapsing. Maybe it's time for the agencies to come out and put out a strong statement. Listen, if you find that there's a house that's cracked, this and that, this is a campaign. Call this number, do this and do that.
That's a good one. More sensitization, going on TV stations, media houses, newspaper front pages, saying if you see any building that the integrity is compromised, you worry, please call this number. You don't have to drop your name. It can be an anonymous call. Sort of a case of whistleblowers, right? Let us know. We will come and do the inspection, and if we find that these houses have failed the integrity test, we're bringing them down. And the people who look the other way, just so that these people can build, they also should be found and arrested and made to face the law. Because how do you look away because they gave you 5 million naira? Years later, they should be prosecuted now. They can track it down. Who collected the money and looked away? Anyway.
Away from that, though, to a sad story, I'm sure a lot of us are followers of the United States politics, in quotes. Well, the story did come out yesterday that former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with aggressive form of prostate cancer. Yes, prostate cancer. It was said that he is actually has a Gleason score of 9. That's really high. Some have prostate cancer of about 2, 3 with a Gleason score, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. But for prostate, he's had as close as 9. 9 Gleason score simply means that it's really high, and they also say that it's got into the metastasis bone.
That's not good. Hearing that he has prostate cancer is not the most welcoming news. It's really sad to hear. He ran again. He had to step down, of course. I don't know, maybe I would say it's a blessing in disguise that he's not having to do this whilst still dealing
with issues of state,
President of the United States of America. But really, this is not the kind of thing you wish on anybody, regardless of what your political affiliations are, whether you were in support of him, whether you were in support of his party or not. This is not the kind of news that anybody wants to hear. So we don't know how this is going to turn out, but we just certainly wish for him the best, and we hope that this is, United States has top-notch medical technology. We hope that they're able to care for him. And when I hear aggressive, it bothers me, because I don't know if that means that it's gotten to the terminal level. I'm not sure.
Reading a little bit more on it and I had my check last year. I had a check last year, and I'm going to ask Benga, I hope you've done your check.
Young men from the age of 40 or before.
Before. I had my check. I had my first check when I was 36. So I think it's right that after a few years,
wow,
you
so
should be able to.
I was about to say that. So you're that old. Wow.
You're an elderly person. I'm not Gen Z like me and my sister.
Hello.
Forever 21. I'm saying.
Come on. And you know those old songs, right?
Yeah.
And you are still 20.
No, it's our parents exposed us to.
Anyway, I suggest that every man should go for a checkup. It's very key. It may not be the most comfortable one. Just like you also have for the women who go for their it's not always comfortable, apart from and so on. But you should check it out. It's very key. One thing, why this story is very important to us, Olive, and I want to highlight it here. African leaders can learn a thing or two from this story. What do I mean? One, did you notice that Joe Biden's camp had noticed that his health was waning? And during the pre-election period, especially during the debates, they could tell. And what did they do? They quickly put up a team, ran into a quick meeting, closed-door meeting, and said, listen, we need to ensure that we take him out of the campaign and bring in Kamala Harris, because they had to look for a quick replacement. What's the lesson there? But come back to Africa. Go to Cameroon. Go to some of the African leaders who are aged. They are not doing well health-wise. But there's this thing about the camp saying, don't worry, Baba must continue. This is a clear indication that, listen, when it comes to health, it affects every spine doesn't allow you to carry out your duties or responsibilities, especially if you are responsible to the citizens who may number well over 200 and something billion like in Nigeria. But I like what they did there. They told him, listen, take the back seat, Kamala Harris, go forward. And now the story is coming out that, listen, he's fighting this. So the bottom line for me is, while I saw the story, I said, I mean, this is good to come out and say he's not feeling well. I mean, our hearts are with him and the family. But it's also a key indicator for African leaders that if you're well over a certain age, you should also consider, if you're not strong enough to run for office, to actually step back.
I mean, Cameroon's president is 92 years old. 92? Yes, Mr. Paul Biya.
I remember
he was in America, and he couldn't even remember. He couldn't remember where he was. But they're still propping him up and all of that. Yoweri Museveni will be 80 years old this year, and he's still seeking re-election. By the way, he's been president of Uganda for the last 39 years.
And he's going to hand over to Kainerugaba.
Since 1984.
Is 80. And he has been president since 1980. So,
remember the incidents of going to the international community and farting on stage? Farting?
Was it farting or?
Yes.
He was farting on stage. He kept farting and he stood up and he kept asking his SC, where am I?
Yeah, where am I?
Where am I?
I wanted to mention, was it South
Sudan? But nobody
mentioned that one. Remember how?
Yes, how they fired the camera and they locked up the cameraman. For
showing that
anyway. But at the end of the day, it's Captain Ibrahim Traore.
But then again,
is their problem. General Langley would not see all this type of leaders to complain about.
These people seem to be in support of. But then again, whilst we're saying that really cancer is not a respecter of any man, it can happen to anybody. So our hearts really does go out to the former president of the United States, and we hope that he can find ways to manage it. They say that it has gotten to his bones. It's an aggressive form that thrives on the hormones, but there are few limited treatment options available. We do hope that they're able to maintain a decent quality of life for him, and that his body responds to treatment. And like Joe has said, a reminder to us all to go and get checked. Do your annual checks. Men, women, do your annual checks. What can save your life is the fact that you've done, because you do want early detection. You do a check this year, you get a clean bill of health. You do a check next year, you find out that, oh, something has developed, and that thing will be under a year. So you're able to quickly nip it in the bud. So we hope that this is your reminder. If you've been thinking, I need to go do my check, consider this your reminder. Schedule it. And a hack to go around it is every year on your birthday, gift that to yourself as, you know, a way of marking your birthday. Go and do a health check on your birthday. That way you never forget. Anyway, let's now share with you our top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. In a bid to strengthen Nigeria's criminal justice system, civil society groups have called for more transparency and accountability within the Nigeria police force. And this was done during a high-level forum in Abuja, where they tasked the management of the nation's police force to focus on effectively implementing the Administration of Criminal Justice Act across the country. Sumaya Abubakar has more in this report.
Stakeholders across Nigeria's criminal justice sector have come together to discuss the growing need for police accountability and transparency in the enforcement of justice across the country. This forum, organized by civil society groups in collaboration with the Nigerian police force, also focuses on how to effectively implement the nation's Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Many here say that the police remains the public's first point of contact within the justice sector. Thus, the need to ensure the act is effective.
The Administration of Criminal Justice, you will agree with me, it is not just a legal framework. It is a call to action for all stakeholders in the criminal justice system. The Inspector General of Police reaffirms the commitment of the force once again to leading by example in its own implementation.
With support from civil society groups like the Clean Foundation, the forum addressed key issues such as unlawful arrest, detention practices, and the protection of suspects' rights.
Everyone has a right to be respected as a human being, and that's very, very important. And that's also what we want to achieve by effective and efficient administration of criminal justice law in Nigeria. The fact that somebody is tagged to be or said to be a criminal does not mean he does not have a life. So must go through the process of the law. The rule of law must take place.
The acting executive director of the Clean Foundation called for regular monitoring, the need for transparency, and a renewed commitment to ensuring justice for citizens, not just in policy, but in practice.
At this point, we are bringing out what we think is the observations we have made in terms of the challenges and the gaps we think that in terms of implementation is existing, so that experts from various security agencies as well as the police itself could look onto this Ministry of Justice and all the rest of them to think about how to improve on the gains that have been made on the agile implementation.
As the push for reform continues, civil society groups say sustained collaboration is key to ensuring police operations and actions aligns with the law, international best practices, and with public expectations. In Abuja, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
Great report there by Sumaya Abubakar talking about the reforms that we need to see in Nigeria Police Force.
Yes, and we've had reports, we've had, there's always high-level panels, you know, discussions on the issues that have to be addressed. And at the end of the day, it feels like a talk shop because we don't see the results on the ground, sadly and unfortunately. Last week, I was watching a YouTube video by this American couple. They drove from, I think, all the way from Ivory Coast. I believe they're going to Kenya, so they passed through the border Nigeria. From Seme to Anambra. They passed through about 60 checkpoints.
And did they collect money?
And you could see, most of the policemen were shocked to even see them in the first place. They're white Americans and they're a middle-aged couple. So they didn't directly ask them for money, but you could see money's exchanged hand. It was aggressive. You could have seen the state of the roads. And I'm wondering, we're complaining about insecurity. What are all these men doing here? It's not like they were providing, they used the pretext of security to extort ordinary commercial drivers, and it's just a mess. You need to see that. I really felt embarrassed for my country just watching that video. And people complain, people that went to the East last year for Christmas said the amount of checkpoints, you think it was a war zone every 20 meters. And if you look at the semi-border access too, from the border all the way to Badagry, through Badagry is either NDLEA is one checkpoint or the other. We really need to do beyond talking and put these reforms to action.
All right. I mean, I completely agree with you in the sense that we need to, it's not a lot of talking. We do a lot of talking in Nigeria. What we want to see is that the talking starts to birth action. Then Nigerians can say that they express full confidence that whenever we have all these committees or all these, you know, panels, or all these meetings and seminars, that it births something positive. But let's move away now from the Nigeria police to talk about party politics with the NNPP right after this break. Welcome back. Let's now talk some politics. The new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has publicly apologized to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress over comments made by its former presidential candidate, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. In a strongly worded statement, the party distanced itself from the remarks, describing them as reckless and unrepresentative of the NNPP's official position.
While it's still unclear which specific statements triggered the backlash, Kwankwaso recently denied reports claiming he was invited to join the APC by President Tinubu. In a post on his X handle, he labeled the claims as false. Well, joining us this morning to unpack this development is the National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP, Mr. Ladipo Johnson, is live with us here in the studios. Thank you so much for being here on a Monday morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Morning.
Trust you all had a lovely weekend.
Well, we tried. I don't know about the other two. Anyway, I think they did, because we just spoke about it during our conversations. But what's this situation all about? We're back again to the NNPP. We're back again to the conversation surrounding the NNPP. It seems like every single political opposition party, in quotes, are having their internal crisis. But let's start from the basis. What did Mr. Kwankwaso say that might have triggered the entire polity and affected members now saying that they're sorry?
No. Well, the thing there is that he didn't say anything. We saw a statement over the internet, and I was wondering, I knew it couldn't be him, a fellow Nigerian, so. He doesn't speak that way. And I knew for certain that we hadn't taken a decision as to any movement towards 2027. We're still working as a party. So I had to, when I couldn't get him, I got in touch with the national chairman, who said, no, I saw it last night, it's not possible. And I've been trying to get him as well. And then about 5 minutes later, I was able to get through to him. And he said to me, I don't know anything about it. Please issue a rebuttal. And we started to do that. The truth about it is that we found out later, it was confirmed, because that was part of the story, that one of the SSRs, they call them senior special reporters to the governor of Kano, attached to the Ministry of Transportation, he's since been suspended, actually wrote something. He wrote it and then put Senator Kwankwaso's name there. He put his name and then Senator Kwankwaso's name. So, but I thought initially I was just some mischief maker somewhere. Yeah. We didn't know where it came from. That is what happened. So we issued a rebuttal. As to the apology, now those are our expelled cousins who will always take any opportunity to get involved, to support the APC or whatever. So all that issued by some, my friend Ogini from Ogun State is neither here. We didn't apologize to APC or anything. Right. They just took it as an opportunity to talk as usual. You know, they've suspended and expelled Kwankwaso and the governor about 10 times now. Yeah. Beyond,
the statements that Dr. Ogini Olaposi had made, the rebuttal or the disassociation from the alleged or purported documents by Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. So he also spoke to the leadership of Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso and the fact that it was a Supreme Court judgment that had, expelled him. Compulsive, I won't complete it. There's no Supreme Court anything. They're the ones, he went to court and the court told him you're no longer a member of the NNPP. He went to court, even the Federal High Court, we've gone through this several times. The Federal High Court, Abuja, same thing, listed their names. You're no longer members of the NNPP. That is a settled matter.
I mean, the crisis in your party, as we inch towards 2027, is sending mixed signals to the populace, because there's a faction here, this person is saying this, and not everyone is media savvy to follow everything that is happening in your party to the letter, the last judgment, who is the legitimate, this or that. And they said that there's a saying that a house divided cannot stand on its own. So
all houses are divided, unfortunately.
Apart even from the APC, even the APC. And the SDP. I mean, the SDP and
look at the SDP. The first thing they did after El-Rufai went in was the Kaduna chapter said, oh, he's not part of us. Yeah. So you see, unfortunately, that's where politics is in Nigeria at the moment.
Yes, but it's highly dysfunctional, and like you use the qualifier, unfortunately. So what are you doing? Because are we going to continue like this?
Unfortunately.
If all the parties continue like this, it will be a slam dunk for the APC in 2027.
Not necessarily.
How do you want to pass a coherent message that, look, we're viable opposition, we're better than these people, how do you seek to win elective positions if you're still very divided and there are no talks? My question is, are there talks, are there moves being made to, at least sanitize the system and put your house in order?
Yes. Well, I keep telling people that, you see, you have to look at the problem, try to understand it, and see what you could do in the short term, medium term to sort it out. It is clear that those, especially where we're concerned, it's not internal now. I keep saying we don't have internal crisis. We have people attacking us from the outside. Now, those people or these people will not stop. We know that already.
Why don't you expel them?
They're no longer members. They've been expelled ages ago. That's what I'm saying. So they sit in one corner and say, oh, we are NNPP. And they keep, as you say, not everyone is following what happens at each stage. So they can sit there and keep saying that, oh, we are the NNPP. We've expelled the governor. We've expelled Kwankwaso. We're this, we're that. So you can't stop them. What you can do, and I keep telling them that, thank you very much. You've really helped us, because bad press, good press is publicity. Whichever way, the name of NNPP is out there. Now, when it comes to 2026, end of 25-26, if we choose to remain as NNPP and we're going to fight the elections, we'll go ahead. If people are coming in, we'll go ahead. If we choose to move to the left or to the right, or to merge with the left or the right, people will know that. But the good thing that Ogini and his co-travelers have done for us is that they've kept us in the news virtually every other week.
But if they claim to be NPC members, NNPP members, is that no impersonation? Can they be prosecuted for it?
Well, the system is so slow here in Nigeria. Do you understand? The system is so slow. And we will get to that stage. We will get to that stage. But at the moment, all you need to do is go to INEC and ask INEC, which, you understand?
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word faction. What is the logo? You'll see the red and white logo. And what's the name of the national chairman?
The one with the fruit and...
not the basket of fruits, no.
The one with the educational symbol.
Exactly.
But let me ask,
yeah.
In the middle of all of this confusion, who is the NNPP national chairman? I mean, is it Ajuji Ahmed or is it Agbo Major?
Dr. Ajuji Ahmed. Simple. You can tell the producer to Google INEC right now.
No, it's there. I mean, I can see it is INEC. So
it's Dr. Ajuji Ahmed.
Who is Agbo Major?
Agbo Major was publicity secretary, right? Of course, I was national auditor until they were expelled. And then I had to move to the office of publicity secretary. Agbo Major, we met him in the party. Quite all right. No one has said that didn't happen. We joined in 2022. Yeah, elections were 2023. We met Agbo Major in the party. And the crisis began from the camp of those we met in the party. The national secretary, still the national secretary, Ladipo Johnson, was from their camp. You understand? So that is what happened. The crisis started from within their ranks. But it was when one of the founders wanted to say, I'm removing the national secretary and whatever. We said, no, there's procedure. That's when it became with us and them. They were the ones. We joined the NNPP. No one has said we didn't.
Okay, and part of their claims as well is they're claiming that the leadership of the founder and chairman of the board of trustees is Dr. Boniface Anibunam. Is that a position that you also share?
No, he's not chairman of the NNPP anymore. He's leader of their group or their party or their party, not political party.
Association.
Association, thank you. They're not a recognized political party. You see, to be a recognized political party, you go to the constitution, it says this, that. Basically, you have a logo, you have an address, etc. And that is why INEC says this person, for every party. And as he said, Dr. Ajuji Ahmed.
So, also, I mean, I wanted to ask if there's a possibility for there to be a merging of both, I don't want to call it both factions, because I know you probably not, or the warring parts.
The coming back together.
Yeah, is there a possibility of it coming back together? Are you open to a reconciliation?
Ladipo Johnson is not. But more mature people like Rabiu Kwankwaso may be, but not me. I know when I see behavior and it is there, I know that these people, even if you come back with them, they'll betray you quarter to the elections. So I don't do that.
So are there plans for convention in the works? Or
yes, we're due in 2026. We're due in 2026. Our last elective convention was in 2022. So that's when we came in and everything. We're doing 2026. We had one, of course, to ratify the change of logo, etc., etc. But the next elective convention is in 2026.
And do you plan to seek any office within the NNPP?
Me?
Do you plan to return as a publicity secretary, or you want to take it a notch higher?
No, I don't know what I'm planning. I'm trying my best.
I mean, 2026 is just
it's around the corner.
Yeah,
I'm trying my best to make sure that I don't japa as with other people right now.
So is that possible?
You're thinking of bigger.
So, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of. Are you talking of political party japa or national japa?
No, I'm talking about national japa.
Okay, so let's come back to talk about political party japa. Just, I think last week there about, you had two House of Representative members, Kabiru Usman and Abdullahi Sani, who were both elected on the platform of the NNPP, moved to the All Progressives Congress. Does that give you cause for concern about the recent wave of defections we're seeing of people from different political parties all moving to the All Progressives Congress?
Not really, including Senator Kaushmaila as well, Kano South. He moved as well. In fact, he moved before this. It is something that has been in the books ever since the Emirates issue started with Emir Sanusi. So we've known these things, but of course politically they were waiting. They were suspended by the party in Kano, but they were waiting for a time where it would be said, oh, NNPP is in turmoil, elections around the corner and what have you. Just a few days ago, you had some, how many recently retired top military men of Kanu origin just crossing into the NNPP, to the Kwankwaso movement and then the NNPP. So for everyone that goes, there are people. Kaushmaila and co were not Kwankwaso members. He had problems with Ganduje during the primaries of the APC. Then he came to us for some reason, with the wisdom of the leaders in Kano. They supported him and gave him the nomination, and the Kwankwaso movement helped him win Kano South. So we're waiting for him. 2027 is around the corner.
No, I mean, I just wanted to ride on the Kwankwaso movement.
Yes.
There's still talks within the NNPP that the Kwankwaso movement is dead currently. We've also seen different, statements made in the past few weeks about, him moving to the APC. Can you clarify this? Is he about to move to the APC? Because
or is he working?
Or is he working, for the APC? Because there's some NNPP members who still feel that he's just a decoy.
No, I don't think. I don't think any NNPP members who are NNPP as recognized by INEC would say that. Those who are with Boniface and Ebunam, who are no longer NNPP, as we know it, may be saying that. The bottom line is that what I actually thought you would ask is that if it was an SSR or whatever that actually made all these statements, is that feeling something within the party, which is similar to what you've asked. And I think that we have to be fair, that in any party you have people who have various ideas about the way the party should go forward. So you're right in the sense that we have people who would want us to stand alone. We have some people who would want us to get married to the APC. We have some people who would want us to get married to the coalition. It's a natural thing. And I know because people call me. Recently, one of the people in, one of the members of the House of Reps called me. He said, Mr. Ladipo, I don't know what you're doing as a National Working Committee. I think we should all go to the APC. I said, okay, Honorable, that is your point of view. You understand? So we have that everywhere. Yeah. And, but it's the leadership that will come together. And that's why I said we hadn't taken a decision.
So what's the current state? Let's do a health check of the NNPP as we speak today. What's the status of the NNPP as a party and formidable opposition in Nigeria?
Well,
what are the plans to move NNPP away from being a Kano-based regional champion to a pan-Nigeria party?
Yes. Well, look at how long it took the AD and later ACN. It was when they built bridges across. We were included in the bridges, in the building at that time. For instance, we came out of the PDP at the time, the 5 governors. They were led by Kwankwaso. We joined the APC. We won, defeated President Jonathan at that time. So there's nothing wrong with being strong in one particular place. I keep saying it. When you look at the numbers, the votes of Kano State cancel out the entire eastern region of Nigeria, for example. You understand? So politically speaking, those who are not politicians will say, oh, just Kano. Politically speaking, the politicians will say, just ignore Kwankwaso. It can switch, it can change and affect an election, whichever way. But we've been working to, I'm not from Kano, we've been working to broaden the base of the party. We're not, personally, I always have high standards. And I'll say that we haven't done enough, in the last 2 years or so. We're not where I would want us to be. We're still working. Of course, we've been distracted by all these court cases and whatever. And it's intentional. They've been fairly successful at distracting us. But we're still working. And
intentional. Do you think there are people?
Yeah, I said it. Those that we expelled.
Yeah, members.
At each stage, they've been trying to do.
Do you think they're on any payroll? To carry out this?
Are there people bankrolling them?
I think, yes, I can say that.
Shadow NNPP.
I think that they're getting the support they want from some members of the APC. It's an easy thing. It's easy to tell. At each stage, they turn around and support the position of the APC as against them.
Do you have any evidence?
The APC maybe being
Any evidence to back up your
That's what I just spoke about. I said at each stage, Emirates.
They mirror APC's position.
Exactly. So that's it.
And do you think that the APC has successfully found a way to demolish the NNPP structure in Kano State? Or do you think that in 2027, NNPP still has Kano State?
If they had, look, this arithmetic is simple. I shouldn't be saying it, but it's simple. For Bola Tinubu, it's simple. If Kwankwaso moves to APC, and Ganduje and Kwa are still there, he has Kano as a whole. They'll tell you Kano is giving him 6 million votes, and nobody can do anything. So that is the key.
So has there been any call? From the APC, any lobbying, any conversation? Just like you received a call from, a honorable member.
Definitely, there'll be toing and froing, there are talks going on.
So the influence.
There's usually no smoke without fire. You understand? But as I said, Senator Kwankwaso, he has his own decisions to make. Each individual in the party have their own decision to make.
And if he does, hypothetically speaking, align with the APC, would you be following suit?
Well, Japa, like you said.
A lot of my friends know, and I always say that, look, if...
as a principal person.
No, he's a principal person as well. Even if he goes there, he will have his reasons. You understand? Someone was speaking about movements, political Jackpot.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I explained to them, I said, look at all those movements. Every time he's moved to the opposition. It's not about stomach infrastructure. You understand? When he was in the PDP, they were in government, moved to the APC. APC got into government, he moved back out. You understand? It's about principles for him. I have my own prejudices, and my fellow brothers in Lagos and whatever know that. In fact, if those closest to President Tinubu see me coming, they say, hey, this boy, no, that's that. So I have my own prejudices. I'll call them prejudices. I'm a Lagosian. I've never believed in his leadership. I don't know if I will change, but you know, at times it's about group movement or whatever. But I'm not saying they're going there or they're not going there. Because someone said to me yesterday, your rebuttal saying that Kwankwaso didn't say all these things is sending a signal that you're going to APC. I said it's not. We're just saying that we haven't taken a decision and he didn't make all these things.
All right. So in summary, I think my final question would be, is it safe to say that you strongly believe that Kwankwaso is NNPP, and if he leaves, the party might not be able to stand on its own?
No, the party will stand, because the party could be a shelf party, it could be a shelf company. It will stand. We met NNPP there, but you didn't know them. You understand? The party will still...
Just the way the Labour Party was there.
Exactly. The Labour Party was there, registered, minimal. They can't deregister the NNPP because they won elections. So it
I'm talking of in terms of the influence.
In terms of the influence, at the present moment, he is a motivating factor as the leader of the Kwankwaso movement. So if the Kwankwaso movement moves out...
But Gandhiji already said there's no... I mean, there's also there's no vacancy in 2027 in Nasarawa. So it's almost a foregone conclusion.
Do you believe what Gandhiji says?
I mean,
you don't know him.
He's a former governor. He's a national chairman of one of the biggest parties. The ruling party, yes.
I try not to talk too much these days, because as you were saying, anything could happen.
Before an SSR will write another. I misquote you.
But no, you see, some people might say that. I keep saying, and I said last time, I said even if 30 governors move to the APC, and members of Reps, Senate, and what have you, as per the movements you're getting now, it doesn't mean that victory will be automatic for them in 2027. It's a long time in politics, and Nigerians are watching. In fact, with every movement, Nigerians just feel that, oh, these politicians are just going to share some largesse, or you understand what I'm saying? So it's not automatic, not at all. I keep telling people. If I had told you in January 2015 that President Jonathan wouldn't get back, you'd have told me I was a madman.
Okay, I think we're wrapping up the conversation now. And seeing as you're strongly opposed to the potential of moving to the APC, even though you say that, I mean, never say never.
Ladipo Johnson is different from an NNPP.
I know. I'm asking as Ladipo Johnson, are you more favored to the coalition?
As at this morning,
yes.
I'm more favored to getting a movement together. I'm not sure about Vice President Atiku, but I'm more favored to coming together with other people, because personally I don't think that we're where we should be after 2 years. It's May 29th already, after 2 years of this government. Now, whether they'll be able to switch things around in the next 2 years before elections, we will all see. Yeah. But as things are now, I'm not ready to keep my fingers crossed.
You're not keeping your fingers crossed? Oh, wow. Okay, Ladipo Johnson, thank you for joining us this morning and bringing us up to speed with what's happening with the NNPP. Now, moving on to other stories, the ESA Northeast Anti-Kidnapping Unit in Uromi, Edo State, has raised an alarm over the high rate of drug abuse being witnessed within the town. The patron of the anti-kidnapping unit, Andrew Akpoka, spoke exclusively to News Central Television in Uromi, saying that the buying and selling of drugs within the township has become a big business being practiced by many, including youths and hotels, without any form of restraint. Akpoka adds that the unit has arrested several drug peddlers in the past and handed them over to the police, yet none has been prosecuted. He blames illicit drug use for the high rate of crime in the town, saying that it fuels violent crimes and kidnapping, and calls on the federal and state government to act decisively to end the menace.
Is the biggest, number one, after drug, kidnapping. The problem we have in town now, after drug, kidnapping. Anything you do revolve around drug. Not be Igbo at the top. This one they call Igbo. What they call Indian. The one they say is loud. The one they say is colos, ice. All those drugs, they are a billion business in Uromi. Okay. If there is hardly any hotel in Uromi where drug is not being sold freely, I can swear to that. So we are fast losing hope. We are even thinking we are no longer part of this system because nothing works here. When I say nothing works here, I mean as regard law enforcement. It's like NDLEA does not exist.
Well, don't forget that every Sunday we have what is called the Sunday Tonic. Reminds us of a very popular news, broadcast where the NDLEA goes ahead to release a list, pictures, and information of those who have been caught trying to, cross over to another country or state with drugs, drug peddlers, and hopefully from that video it shows that while they're doing that at the airports, they also need to come back home and do it even from within the closed borders. Let's go straight to what we've brought to you so far this hour here on Breakfast Central on News Central for the first hour.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. So Nigerians have called on the Directorate of State Security, DSS, to respect the boundaries of multi-party democracy, stressing that political schemes should be separated from serious plots against the country's sovereignty. This follows the statement by the Department of State Services, DSS, recent lawsuit against Professor Patitomi over his formation of a shadow government. The DSS prayed the court to declare the move an attack on the Constitution.
Reacting to the suit, many stakeholders, including the chairman of the Delta Obedient Elders Council, Chief Chris Buse, have emphasized that a shadow cabinet is not an alternate government, as insinuated by the Department of State Services, DSS. According to him, the absence of official opposition in the country and its proclivity towards dictatorship poses grave dangers, insisting that the proposal by Professor Pat Utomi to form a 39-man shadow cabinet was timely, bold, and well-informed. Joining us this morning is security expert Dennis Amakri. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Let's get your thoughts first about the shadow government. We've had Professor Pat Utomi, who's come to talk to us about the fact that this government mirrors what an actual government looks like, just that they're standing to investigate and criticize where there are loopholes in the way that the government is being run. But the DSS doesn't seem to approve of it. But let's get your thoughts about it.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You see, I can relate to what the frustration of Professor Patitomi, where he felt that he should bring up a shadow government, just like is being practiced in the United Kingdom, to counter, what the government is doing, because he felt that it is not right. And of course, he has alternatives, but he has forgotten that what he's trying to do is illegal. Illegal in the sense that our constitution does not allow for that. The constitution of the United Kingdom allows for a shadow government, which of course is a set thing, Her Majesty shadow government. In fact, that's what it's called over there, which operates and everybody recognizes it. But we are operating a presidential government, you know, which has established checks and balances and of course established 3 arms of government. And these 3 arms operate without any other kind of government. You know, I know that Patutomi used to have a think tank, or should I say a TV show where Partido's gang or something like that.
Yeah, Partido's gang.
Now, yeah, these can be a pressure group against a democratic government. But when you are trying to form a government, then I think the DSS have the responsibility, you know, to, of course, challenge him on that. Now, I even congratulate the DSS with the new leadership they have there, because if it was in, you know, they are following the rule of law by taking him to court. If he was arrested directly, people will start to make a lot of noise. But what he has done is illegal.
Okay, Mr. Amakri, the Nigerian Constitution does allow for freedom of association. Do you think this might just be an issue with the nomenclature, the naming, the use of shadow government? Because they don't have the instruments of power. They were not elected, and everybody knows. So is the DSS making a mountain out of a molehill?
No, there is no mountain out of any molehill, because the Constitution is very clear. Section 1, you know, established, you know, the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. Supreme law of the land. Section 2 also established the framework of government. So the framework is right there. We have legislative, we have the judiciary and the executive arm of government, and these are standards. You cannot have a shadow government in the United States. You know, it's illegal.
So
but of course, the United States have a lot of...
Is the problem, if it changes the name, if it doesn't use shadow government and calls it Partido's group, and still does the same thing,
I told you
alternative
earlier.
Policies, will this be fine with the DSS?
I told you earlier that Patutomi used to have what he called the Partido's gang on TV. I don't know whether you've seen that.
I used to watch that. Yeah, I mean.
Okay, very good. Those are pressure groups. You know, here in the United States, you have a lot of pressure groups that operate. And of course, some even are lobbyists. They go to the Congress and lobby the legislators on how to change laws or do other kinds of things. And that is what is obtainable in the kind of presidential system that we run. It is not a freedom of expression or freedom of association. You know, that is okay. But here you are actually forming a government. If you call it a different name, okay. But what he actually called it was a government. So that's a different story altogether.
So the problem herein is with the name, because we know that he does not have the authority of the government. He does not have authority to execute any actual policies. So the problem is with the wording.
Yes, I agree.
All right. I mean, let's look at the Section 1, Subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, which I would love to, you know, read out as amended. It says that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall not be governed, nor shall any persons or group of persons take control of the government of Nigeria or any parts thereof, except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, of course, which we know has to do with elections and so on and so forth. This clearly spells out what you have said and the kudos you've given to the DSS for quickly stepping in to uphold this section of the Constitution. But then again, Mr. Patutomi, he was here with us. He spoke deeply and said that he's ready and set to go. And just a few days ago, he said, if I die, I die. Meaning that he is hell-bent on ensuring that he proceeds with this shadow government. And he made mention that there would be no interference. But of course, they would just act, as the name implies, shadow, to ensure that they can continue to be a pressure form of government to the current administration. Do you think that Mr. Patutomi is pushing too much to become, a martyr of change in Nigeria today?
Yes, very true. I think, you see, a lot of people feel that if they don't agree with the government, the best thing is to try and protest or do certain things, you know, and of course they beg for the DSS to arrest them, and that will make them popular. You know, I've talked to some of my my former colleagues and, you know, some people that will be making noise in the media or, you know, leave them, because I think that's what they are looking for. You know, there is no need to arrest anybody. If this particular situation, it does not call for a death sentence. Nobody's going to kill anybody. If the DSS wants to kill Patutomi, I don't think they will take him to court. So, you know, it is laughable that he feels that, you know, somebody's going to kill him. You know, he has already made his mark in Nigeria. So I believe that, you know, as much as he has made his mark, he should be able to follow the simple rule of law. You know, and there is nothing there for anybody to try to kill him, because that's the next thing you will hear now. They are trying to kill me, they are pursuing me, and then now, you know, all kinds of things will be following the situation.
But what really is the, you know, main concern beyond the name? I mean, that's a conversation that could have been had with him. Why is his DSS not seeing this just as political posturing as opposed to the way they currently see this as a threat? What exactly does this shadow government threaten?
You see, one thing is this. It is not, when people do certain things, you know, the DSS itself is established to, you know, maintain national security. And by maintaining national security, they protect the country's independence and decision-making authorities, okay? And there are certain infractions that people will make. And when they make such infractions, the DSS can call them, talk to them, you know, or take them to court. Because, you see, we've been saying, oh, the rule of law. Okay, let's follow the rule of law, whereby, you know, Patutomi should not be scared of anybody disturbing him or killing him. He should go to court, and the court, I am very sure, is going to tell him that what you did is against the Constitution of Nigeria.
I mean, we've seen parliamentary systems where, of course, shadow government can thrive in a parliamentary system like you've also mentioned in the UK.
Yes.
But here we do have presidential system where, you know, there's no room for a shadow government to take place. So, I mean, we've been able to dissect this. And in other words, I mean, as journalists as well, and having read through and seen systems where shadow governments are allowed, we've seen that, yes, there seems to be a bit of, you know, conflict with trying to institute, in quotes, a shadow government in a presidential system. And you've highlighted that. But my question would like to focus on the DSS. The DSS has taken the first step to, you know, go to court. Prayer is in court. They've also gone ahead to, you know, make announcements to Mr. Patutomi not to, you know, go through this line. What would you say would be the next fundamental step for the DSS to take if Patutomi, who is currently saying that he's hell-bent, is going ahead to ensure that it pushes for this shadow government. What do you think the DSS should do as an experienced and retired security expert that you are?
The DSS have done what it's supposed to do. That's taken him to court. You know, it has other alternatives that it could do. You know, he could have been arrested. And then, of course, we won't be talking on TV here. In fact, he will be answering questions in the DSS headquarters, okay? But they've decided, following the rule of law, to take him to court. And if he's bent on going ahead with whatever he wants to do, the court will decide. If the court decides and tell him now that you cannot do it, you have to stop, you know, and he goes ahead, that's contempt. I think it's out of the hands of the DSS. And of course, the courts themselves will pursue it.
Now, has there been any precedent, looking at Nigeria's recent political history, of this sort of move of forming a shadow government? And what are the dangers of this sort of shadow government, and why is the DSS very concerned about this?
Well, there has not been a shadow government in Nigeria, you know, but we've had, you know, some people that have declared a government of their own, like the Biafra case we have, you know, which is a different thing. That one is treason because you are planning to break away. It's the same thing. The Constitution has set up a country and you want to break away from it. So those are two different things, and of course the court will decide, you know. But shadow government, we've not had any precedent on that.
So maybe, is this maybe another case where we should just wait and see how the court decides? Because there are those who would argue that it's not illegal because they don't see how it's actually usurping constitutional authority, because there isn't any clear, very direct provision that declares it illegal. Right? It might not be a system that's supported because we run a presidential and not a parliamentary system of government. So maybe the right course of action would be to wait for the court to interpret what the correct way out of this is, maybe.
Well, we will all wait for the court to interpret, but at the same time, what they've done, what Professor Uromi had done, according to the Constitution, okay, let me put it this way, it's unconstitutional. What he has done is unconstitutional. And if it is unconstitutional, then it is outside the rule of the law.
But so, I guess the
court will decide and they will tell him.
It's the court that would interpret if it's unconstitutional or not. Because the courts will look at the merit of the case. He's not swearing in members. He doesn't have the instruments of office. He doesn't have a chief justice. He doesn't have a parliament. So,
well, he may have one of those actually. It's just they don't have.
You forgot to add, it doesn't have a police.
It doesn't have a police.
Because those are other instruments of government. So if it doesn't even have police.
Yeah, so is the DSS not wasting state resources by pursuing someone that doesn't have the instruments of government? You know, realistically,
you are taking it wrongly. Okay. You know, that's not what is happening, because the DSS is constitutionally mandated to protect the country from threats that could appear on other kinds of things. You know, somebody threatening the constituted authority, or somebody, you know, trying to form a different government, you know.
But we asked Mr. Uromi on this platform.
In the United States, I'll give you an example. In the United States, they believe that there is what they call deep state. You know, that is a form of, you know, government, or should I say some kind of influencers that are operating in the background, you know, and they try to influence what the government is doing. But in a democracy, you have all this kind of thing, and they are not obvious. You cannot say this is their office or these are the members. you know, this one is in charge of transportation, this in charge of this or that or that, you know. But what Patutomi had done is go ahead and appoint people. You know, these people were not elected. They have to be elected. So, and he called them a government, unelected officials who are governing Nigeria. I think the court will decide. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you that just reading that constitutional provision, the DSS was quite correct in nipping this in the bud.
So how do we find that balance again? How does the DSS find this balance? And I'm going back to a question that my colleague had asked earlier, between freedom of speech, freedom of association, and then how does it find that balance between that and protecting the national integrity of the government?
Yes, there's a very, very thin line. There's a very thin line. Freedom of speech. People are free to say whatever they want to say. In fact, in Lagos, I think there's a park in Lagos where you can go and say anything you want to, against even the government.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that place.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's a park. All right. Freedom of speech, freedom of association. You can form parties. You can form associations, organizations and stuff like that. That is there. But when you start forming government, then you have crossed the thin line. You've crossed that line. And that's what he has done. And of course, it will be interpreted properly in court. Okay,
Mr. Makri, we'd like to go on a break now. We'll still, like to have you on the program. This conversation, we've been able to, I believe we've been able to milk at least about 85% of this conversation. I think we have a little more, 15%, but I'd like you to stay with us. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, the conversations on the shadow government continues. What if Professor Patutomi decides to have a similar shadow government like that of Iran? We'll talk about that in a moment. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. You're still watching Breakfast Central. We're taking a look at the shadow government as proposed by Professor Patutomi. Our guest is a retired DSS, and of course you could say a security expert who has been speaking with us right from the early hours of the 8 o'clock hour. We're looking at the implications of having a shadow government. You would recall that the DSS have come out to state that it is not acceptable because Nigeria runs a presidential and not a parliamentary system. Shadow governments are also used or done or implemented in countries like the United Kingdom, not forgetting to Canada and the likes. So let's bring you back, Mr. Makri. Thanks once again for staying with us. But my question is one that, we've touched on the other aspects. My question is taking us back to what's happening in Iran. In July 2024, Iran did have an election where they had a president emerge, but it seems like the opposition, which happens to be Jalili, was not impressed. I'm talking about Sahid Jalili, who was not impressed with the outcome of the elections, and he went ahead to propose a shadow government like what we're seeing now. And clearly, it's not also acceptable under the Iranian constitution. But there are rumors that he's going to have that shadow government outside of Iran, which brings me back to my question to you. What if Professor Patutomi decides to have a shadow government not within the confines of Nigeria, but outside of Nigeria? Would that still be a big case for the DSS?
Of course. He's free to form any kind of thing he wants. We've had examples like Sam Ekpa, who formed a shadow government in Finland, and that's his right to do, and he has done it. But at the same time, Nigeria is not going to welcome him with an open arm. What is happening in Iraq right now? The militias, they have even penetrated that government in such a way that some of them are even in the current government of the president. So they are pushing, but of course, they're in the shadows. they cannot actually come out. He has invited the security agencies to start arresting and prosecuting them, you know, and of course in Iraq, you know, they don't, you know, the rule of law is out of the window there. So some of those people arrested could even be killed. You never know. So it's not the kind of thing that I think I expect Professor Tommy to do, because you know, he was a former presidential candidate in Nigeria, you know, well-respected intellectual, a thought leader, and we believe that, of course, he has made a mistake, and I think he can correct it. He can still carry out his objectives, but it has to be in line with the rule of law.
But what is there any risk for the people who are going to join him in this shadow government? Because while he was here, he made mention that some of the participants are from Labour Party, the PDP, and other political parties. As a security expert, these names, although not mentioned fully, would they all equally be at risk should they, you know, decide to join this movement?
Well, they cannot be a part of an illegal government. You know, so if they are part of an illegal government, of course, they will also, you know, have something to answer to the law. You know, so yes, if any of the participants are found to be part of it and they are operating, yes, the law will come for them.
All right. Anyway, I think some of these points have definitely been touched on. But since you're here with us, we'd like to move a little bit, you know, backwards to some of the security issues that we are currently facing as a country. And it's obvious that the current administration would not want to add more on its plate. I'd like you to talk on the security aspects concerning some of the states that Nigeria is indeed some of the states in Nigeria are currently faced with insecurity issues. I'm sure you are aware of the statements made by Borno State Governor 2 months ago. He had come out to make mention of the increasing insecurity in the state. There was also a video that emerged sometime last year where he was traveling along the Borno Coastal Road, Borno Highway, I beg your pardon, and he had to stop with his convoy because there were certain, you know, gunshots, attacks here and there. And then just last month, he came out to say that he needs help, that Borno State is being, you know, besieged by, you know, insurgency, criminals, and so on and so forth. If a governor has made certain remarks repeatedly, what do you think the number one citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the security forces should do to ensure that they come to his aid as soon as possible?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. You see, Governor Zulum, of course, came out, you know, with what was happening to people in his state. In fact, 3 of his local governments have been taken over by bandits, Boko Haram. And you see, immediately the president even came back from his travels. He had a meeting with the heads of security agencies. And then, of course, he had told them to go ahead and then, of course, take care of this. We've heard about this before, where the president, even the former president, will come and say, go and take care of it. And it, you know, they go ahead and keep on fighting with these bandits. Now, we have discovered that these bandits, some of them are just, not just the Boko Haram, but people that are coming in from outside the country. It is being strengthened by ISWAP and the Islamic State of West African Province. It is not only just for Nigeria, but they are sweeping all across the west, western Nigeria, west coast of Africa. So these guys are loaded. They have weaponry, and what we believe is that the people, the security agencies will be given enough arms and ammunition, equipment to fight this. Because I can tell you that they are so sophisticated, some of them are now using drones to monitor our military. Okay, we are also supposed to, you know, have predator drones to deal with this, because I believe that we cannot play kids' glove with these guys anymore. And Predator drones can be deployed, but they are very expensive. And what is our people doing? The legislature will, of course, make their pronouncements, but release the money to the security agencies to go and do what they have to do.
Now,
okay. This is a case. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Makri, you mentioned the legislature. The National Assembly is planning a 2-day summit, security summit, to address insecurity in Nigeria. Critics of that said, you know, it might just be another talk shop, and you will be discussing issues of national security in the open. So what's the point? Do you agree with those critics, or you feel Nigerians will feel a difference? There will be results after that National Assembly Security Summit?
I have mentioned it in other fora that a security summit at this time is just of no use. It's of no use. It will end up being a jamboree. And of course, we have a lot of reports on security summits that have been held before. Why don't we go back to those reports and implement them? Because I don't like the approach that our legislators are taking about this security issue. You know, security is a very expensive thing, factor, and when they are doing the appropriation, we expect them to realize that they have to give them the real money. I know some people will say that, yes, the defense budget is the highest in the
Exactly
country.
what I was about to mention. If money is really the problem, because defense always stops, you know, the budget. And so where is the challenge coming from?
Yeah, defense budget is the highest in the country, but you can go and ask the police, DSS, army. Most of that money does not trickle down to them.
Where does it get missing?
Okay, now we've finished. We are going into the second quarter of 2025. How much have they released to these people? You know, they've not. And you'll find out that they you know, after a while they'll call them, come and explain to us. But when they go there, we need this money. One drone, a Predator drone, is about $23 million. Then you give them some money and then you expect them to create magic, you know. So security is not taken seriously, because, believe it or not, Nigeria is under siege right now. And our armed forces should be well equipped to deal with these people, because it's not just Boko Haram. You know, we should realize that too. We have foreign armies, soldiers of fortune, who have joined these people, bandits, and they are trying to invade Nigeria. And we should be ready for that.
I mean, it's really sad to hear you talk about how expensive it is to fight insecurity, and how the monies that are being apportioned in the budget doesn't really get to do what it's meant to do. Which then begs the question, where is the money? At what point do we lose the translation of the money for what it was intended for? What are the consequences? And is the administration, is the current administration really determined? Do they really have the political will to fight insecurity in the way that they say that they have? And whilst you respond to that, I also want you to talk about collaboration, how security agencies can collaborate with local forces in the fight against insecurity.
Well, I think you're right. One thing that is missing seriously is the political will. Political will. Now, look, we have been talking about state police, and we believe that the creation of state police will bring law enforcement down to the grassroots. The problem we're having in Nigeria right now is not a military problem, it's a police problem. You know, military are supposed to defend the country from external aggression. And these people that are coming in, this swap and all the rest, yes, military can go and deal with that. But the inside, the bandits, the kidnapping and all, that's police job. You know, but how equipped, how trained, how many policemen do we have, you know, that are doing law enforcement? You know, and of course, the police people, they are shortchanged by, you know, a lot of mopols who are supposed to be fighting forces, you know, giving to politicians and all kinds of local government chairmen, carrying them around when they are supposed to be doing the job itself. I don't know what is slowing down the declaration or the establishment of state police, because we need to do that. And of course, if we do that, the governors will be more responsible in the sense that most of the security votes they've been giving them has been their pocket money. Why don't you release this money and give it to the police, train them properly? You know, why even depend on the army or the federal government? You know, the state should be responsible. Get these people, train them, because after all, what's the difference between a soldier and a policeman? It's because of the different kinds of trainings that they have. You know, and the police can be more trained to deal with issues that are of internal security concern.
Now, Mr. Makri, finally, before we let you go this early morning where you are, you did mention that state policing will be a good way to address some of our security challenges, but the government is not yet ready for that. But they've inaugurated something else. I don't know if it might fill the gap for state policing or how you rank it in the scheme of security architecture. Forest guards, the government just inaugurated forest guards to chase away bandits and criminal elements from our forests. Traditionally, these forest guards are meant to look after endangered species and also prevent logging. So are they going to have to be retrained and armed with weapons that can address their current job description?
Well, you know, when I heard about them recruiting how many thousands of forest guards, you know, I laughed because it's a joke. You know, it's a pure joke. I don't see why forest guards. Why don't you go ahead and just establish state police? Why are we running around? Why are we trying? I
mean, there's a lot of evil in our forest, and they need to deal with those evils. Abisa forest, for example.
I'll tell you this. Who are forest guards? Forest guards. For example, in Kenya, you have forest guards. In fact, because they have a lot of wildlife in their forest, in their wherever. And these forest guards are the ones that go around trying to stop poachers, people who are killing animals. You know, they are trying to protect these species that are going extinct. So they go there, and then, of course, they protect the forest. And, of course, some of them don't, if they arm them too much, maybe a double-barrel gun. And then, of course, what they do is to watch out the poachers. And when the poachers see them, they run away. Now you are recruiting forest guards to go and face bandits with rocket launchers, AK-47s, and RP5. It's just, I don't know who even brought that idea that, you know, let's use forest guards to counter these people. You know, these are not the right. You know, that's not the right solution. The right solution is to create state police, train them properly, train them to be, you know, like we have here, the SWAT. The SWAT are policemen, and they are trained in special weapons and tactics, and they go out to take care of even terrorists, you know, so they can do it. But trying to hold down the police, using them for escorts And then, of course, think, oh, let's push forest gas there. People will see us as doing something, you know. They formed Amotekun, you know. But Amotekun, we've said it. Train them if you really want them to fight. But they were created as hunters, going into the bush, and then, of course, if they see any of these bandits, they will come and report to the formal police or the army, who will go out and deal with them. You know, we should try and order our priorities.
All right. Okay. Mr. Makri, thank you for your time with us this morning. We do appreciate it. We wish you a wonderful rest of the night. Over there is your night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Still looking at insecurity, a significant number of families, mainly women and children who were displaced by terrorist attacks, have returned to their hometowns in the Mate local government area of Borno State. This follows the return of peace to the area. News Central's Umaru Kerawa completes the report.
The recent attack on Marte facility, among others, burned down to ashes. Families were displaced because of hidden threats. A grandmother of 7, Zainab Abacha, alongside other family members, returned back to Marte from Dikwa, about 24 kilometers in northern Borno.
Suro amnu solu da na da ban napte baro da wonte ke kulu ne kusa ni do mongono ke na darba luwe ne amma ku yar wote le ya luwe baro.
A significant number of families, along with women and children who have been displaced by terrorist attacks, now return to their hometown Marte local government area in Borno State as peace takes root in their community.
Kumar kanandi angudu ya jukwar le nyana ma guyen na ba yen na ba ade ra fandere kede ku ishe na mai na ire isuwa mal ma andere kan guda yubi alhamdulillah askar nyana kwa ku de ra commander matumanye.
With the pain of the terror attack, the battle to maintain peace is still ongoing in towns and villages affected.
About 20,000 people have left Marte to Dikwa. This is very obnoxious to the government, to the federal government, as well as the state government. Because this huge number of people is a threat on itself. But alhamdulillah, we came back home. And then yesterday we spent a night here, you have seen, with the support of the Nigerian army, with the support of our gallant civilian jet hunters and vigilante. We are back here in Marte, and then the communities are now resettled for the second time now.
Authorities maintain that living communities deserted will further make the area vulnerable to infiltration and planting of improvised explosive devices by terrorists.
So far so good. You have seen we have strengthened the resilience of the community. We have increased the numbers of civilian jet hunters and vigilante in order to complement the efforts of the Nigerian army. The Nigerian army has also increased the workforce that are residing in this town, and we have taken many measures that need not to be explained here because it's a security matter.
Despite persistent security challenges, the rural dwellers show resilience to withstand the heat, particularly with support from authorities. In Marte, News Central, Umaru Kerawa.
Very insightful reports there, but let's take you straight into breakfast headlines this morning and start off our very first story in Abuja, where the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soso Ashoho, has announced the redeployment of 5 judges with immediate effect. In a statement issued on Sunday, the court disclosed that 6 judicial officers were affected by the decision. The judges include Justice M.G. Umar from the Enugu Judicial Division, who has now been reassigned to the Abuja Division, while Justice Tijani Garuba Ringim has been transferred from Gombe to Yola. Similarly, Justice Shegu Bello, previously serving in the Abakaliki Division, has been moved to Enugu, and Justice Bala Khalifa Mohammed Usman has been reassigned from Yola to the Oka Division, while Justice Amina Aliyu Mohammed will take over in the Gombe Division after her redeployment from Oka. She assured litigants and lawyers that there is no need to worry about their cases before Justice Ikwo's court, whose suspension stemmed from allegations of delivering rulings without hearing the parties involved. Other judges who got suspended by the NJC includes Justice Aminu Bafa Aliyu of the Zamfara Division for 1 year without pay, placing him on a 3-year watch list, during which he is barred from elevation. The Nigerian Bar Association NBA Anambra State Chapter has condemned the gruesome murder of its member Ifeanyi Lo Akasia. A member of Otuacha Bar, was killed alongside his client in Nanka, Orumba North local government area as they were returning from a court sitting in Ekulobia High Court on the 15th of May. The NBA, in a statement signed by KG Abonyi, the chairperson committee of chairmen and secretaries of NBA Anambra, described the attack as a blatant assault on the legal profession and the rule of law. The committee of chairmen and secretaries of NBA Anambra chapter consequently directed all lawyers to boycott all court sittings in the state from the 20th of May to 21st of May in protest against the murder of their colleague. The lawyers demanded justice be served and the relevant authorities must do all it takes to pursue truth and accountability. Let's tell you that suspected bandits have attacked Waje community in Danko, Wasagu local government area of Kebbi State, killing 15 farmers and injuring 3 others. The state's deputy governor, Senator Umaru Tafida, led a condolence visit to the district head, offering words of comfort and financial support to the grieving families on behalf of Governor Nasser Idris. Describing the gesture as a modest show of solidarity, Tafida pledged continued government support. District head Honorable Bala Dambaba praised the visit and called for stronger security, noting the area's vulnerability due to its proximity to Niger, Zamfara and Sokoto states. The local government chairman confirmed the casualty figures. In another development, the chairman of All Progressives Congress Ward 5, Ifon Ose local government area of Ondo State, Nelson Adekboyigi, who was kidnapped at his residence in Ifon a few days ago, has been reportedly killed by his abductors. The kidnappers, however, set free 2 individuals who reportedly took 5 million naira and food items to them as ransom to secure Adekboyigi's release. The kidnappers had initially demanded 100 million naira, but after negotiations reduced it to 5 million naira with foodstuff. The chairman of Ose local government area, Honorable Barrister Clement Kolakbo, confirmed the development in a statement issued by his media aide, Oluwaseun Oguni. Meanwhile, Ondo State Police Command is yet to confirm the killing of the politician. The Commissioner of Police, Wilfred Afolabi, disclosed that a detachment of police detectives have been drafted to the community to investigate the incident. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has formally written to the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Bayo Ojulari, urging him to immediately account for 500 billion naira in oil revenue reportedly missing from the Federation account. The demand, made in a letter dated May 17, 2025, comes in response to recent revelations by the World Bank, which showed that Nigeria earned over 1.1 trillion naira from crude oil sales and related income between October and December 2024. However, only 600 billion naira was remitted by the NNPCL, raising serious questions about the unaccounted 500 billion naira balance. SERAP is calling for full transparency, immediate recovery of the missing funds, and prosecution of anyone found responsible. The group is given the company 7 days to respond or face legal action. The organization warned that the missing funds could severely impact critical areas such as education, healthcare and infrastructure, especially amid widespread economic hardship. 2 octogenarians, 80-year-old Ayuba Ashiru and 82-year-old Uloma Uchechi Sunday, along with her daughter Chisom, topped the list of arrests made by the NDLEA in a nationwide drug sweep. Ayuba, a former convict, was caught in Kaduna with 2.3 kilograms of skunk. Uloma and her daughter were nabbed in Abia with meth, tramadol and cannabis. Massive drug seizures were recorded at Apapa and on a port with opioids worth over 3.2 billion naira intercepted. In Kwara, Polytechnic student and 2 others were caught with cannabis and tramadol. An AK-47 hidden in maize, cocaine in a headgear, and over 900 kilograms of skunk were also recovered in separate raids across 9 states. The Eson Northeast Anti-Kidnapping Unit in Uromi, Edo State, have raised an alarm over the high rate of drug abuse being witnessed within the town. The patron of the Anti-Kidnapping Unit, Andrew Akboka, spoke exclusive to News Central Television in Uromi, saying that the buying and selling of drugs within the township has become a big business being practiced by many, including youths and hotels, without any form of restraint. Akboka adds that the unit has arrested several drug peddlers in the past and handed them over to the police, yet none has been prosecuted. He also went ahead to mention that the security agencies should do their best and ensure that they try everything they can to stop the drug peddlers. And that's all the news we have for you on Breakfast Headlines. Stick around, we'll be bringing to you the front pages of the newspapers, plus Which Way Nigeria with Benga.
Let's talk about one of the biggest contradictions in our governance today, the public sponsorship of religious pilgrimages, both Muslim and Christian. This practice drains our scarce resources and blurs the line between state and religion. At a time when hospitals are failing, schools are collapsing, and unemployment is soaring, how does the government justify spending taxpayers' money on spiritual journeys? Now, I want you to be clear. I want to be clear on this. This is not an attack on religion. I deeply respect everyone's right to worship, whether Islam, Christianity, or traditional beliefs. But religion is a personal matter. It's not the government's job to fund pilgrimages to Mecca, Medina, Jerusalem, or any other holy site where millions lack clean water, decent healthcare, and functional schools. Let's look at the numbers. In 2024, the federal government spent 90 billion naira subsidizing Hajj pilgrims alone. Between 2022 and 2024, 21 states spent nearly 120 billion naira on pilgrimages, Muslim and Christians. Some governors spent over 100 billion naira just on Hajj travel subsidies. Kwara State reportedly spent 8 billion naira on pilgrimage projects in just 9 months, but only 42 million naira on water, despite people still fetching water from streams. Now, compare this with Lagos State, which stopped sponsoring pilgrimages and saved 4.5 billion naira in 3 years. That money was invested in infrastructure and public services. Yet, pilgrims still travel because true faith finds a way without government handouts. This is the model Nigeria must follow. Religion teaches humility, sacrifice, and personal responsibility, not government-funded luxury. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia does not pay for Nigerians to do Hajj. Israel does not pay for Nigerian Christians to visit the Holy Land. So why do we borrow money to do so? Nigeria is a secular state. Our constitution guarantees freedom of religion, not taxpayer-funded religion. If you want to go to Mecca, Medina, or Jerusalem, go, but pay your own way. The government's job is to fix our hospitals, schools, roads, security, and not play God with our limited resources. Good morning, Nigerians.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. And now it's time for us to read the front pages of the paper. Joining us this morning is journalist extraordinaire Rabiu Musa. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Our senior learned colleague, you're welcome, sir.
Learned. Leave that learned colleague.
So journalists are not learned?
Journalists are educated. We know that in Nigeria.
Do you want to follow your law people?
Let's
Joe and I start looking for a journalistic co-host.
I'm with both. If Wike can be in the PDP,
you can be Jonah
lawyer.
More Jonah.
All right, let's go into the papers this morning, starting with this day newspaper on the front page. Do not let Mate fall, Zulum begs federal government. Spends night coordinating security logistics. Tinubu meets Pope Leo XIV, stresses importance of peace and tolerance, urges Nigerians to use their diversity for nation stability and rapid development. And then there's the banter with Fayemi and Obi, which Bayo Ononuga had to go and do a serious informal press statement on X for. Saraki, Buhari harassed, intimidated me because I opposed and curbed borrowings. Lopobiri, $5 billion African Energy Bank in final stage before kickoff. Orama Ibrahim inspects new headquarters in Abuja. Ex-US leader Biden diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer. I think let's start on a much lighter note, love and light. Do you think it was really necessary, all that explanation about what happened between Obi, the Pope, Obi and Peter B and
Mr. Fayemi?
Mr. Fayemi, the explanation of, this one went to go and greet this one, so let's go. Was it really necessary?
No, very, very necessary.
Tell us.
That was a masterpiece.
Tell us.
Tinubu media guys got it right. Tinubu went there on invitation of the Pope. And Obi, a Catholic, and Fayemi, a Catholic, devoted Catholic for that matter, were also there, the same environment. There was only cautious and decent for them to go and say hello to the president, no matter the political difference. And the media guys were watching. They captured everything that happened and threw it out. That was a masterpiece. That Fayemi said, let's go give the president. Obi said, yes, no, I'm okay with that. And they went there. Then I met the president, welcome, thank you for coming to on the inauguration of the Pope. We are Catholics. President said, no, wait a minute. I'm the leader of the Nigerian delegation. And they started laughing. That was a good one from the media. Capture the mood.
No, I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about the explanation that Bayo puts.
That what?
He had to explain all of this, breaking it down. Because he felt like, we had the tweet earlier, he felt like people were saying, why is Obi and the president smiling? I mean, he had to put out.
That's why I said the media guys got it right.
Okay.
I said, I'm a media man. I won't manage the image of a governor of this state. Yeah. So I can tell you that was a masterpiece. Yeah. It was not necessarily, it was not put out as a statement, but it was on the Twitter page of Mr. Onuga. That was where people picked it, and that was the message, that was the story, apart from the one of peace and coexistence. So it was a good one.
Well,
a good one.
Okay, interesting perspective. I mean, there are those who would argue. I personally did argue at the start. I didn't see why it was, it was very necessary and
fantastic media work.
Anyway, let's before we proceed with the papers, I'm sure you're aware of what happened in Mushin yesterday, the collapse of the building. Very sad one, but we do have our man. We hear he's on ground. Ni or Boni, or better still call him Agbalani or Moni, is on ground. Let's see if he has the latest updates for us. Ni, thanks for joining us. We can see the rubbles behind you. Can you shed more light on what's happening?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Olive, and everyone there in the studio. So we're here at Mushin Idiaraba, to be precise. This is number 96 Ishaga Road, and just behind me you can see the rubbles of a collapsed building. It's said to be a one-story building given to a developer. It's still under construction at the time it's collapsed. Moreover, the developer, according to information we got, decided to add one more layer of a story on it. And if you look at this iron rod that is being used to power, if I can use that word, or to lift an extra deck of building on it. You can see the texture. I can feel it here. You can't feel it, but of course I can see it here, that we want to put an extra layer of building on, and some people are saying that's the reason why the building collapsed. As regards fatalities, one person had been confirmed dead. 3 people were rescued from the rubble. For now, rescue operations has ended, and they're just waiting for information on how to move these things out of here. However, I'm here with people who witnessed the incident, and I'd like to get more information as to what really went down here. Sir, let's start with your name, sir. What's your name, sir?
My name is Rabiu.
Okay. You witnessed and you saw what happened here. Can you give us a brief of what has happened so far?
What happened yesterday, Judge? This very building collapsed around after 3 yesterday. After 3, I was throwing my friend going to the bus stop when I heard the building collapse of the building here. But I think part of what caused the collapse of the building is due to the inferior materials used from the foundation, because it's a 2-story building. The building is 2-story and it's still under construction. So from the foundation, foundations, the rod and everything is very much inferior to what is expected to be used. Then once there's a call, because of many people here, the LRU come, the layer officials come to try and rescue people. The SHEMU, the Nigerian Police Force, and other sister agencies are much more on. Everybody lived there around 10:30 in the night or yesterday night. So 3 people are rescued alive. One was dead as at the time of rescue. So the SHEMU come to evacuate the corpse to the nearest mortuary.
Can we confirm the identity of that person? Was it a construction worker, or do we know?
According to people here, I think it's one of the carpentry laborers that come to the site to do work. So that is the issue.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We still have more people here, as you can see. Just as we got here, it's gathering more attention as to what's happening. Good day, sir. Would you like to speak with us, sir? Mommy is saying if we bring money, she does not understand what we're doing here. But as you can see behind me, it's garnering a lot of attention. However, it does not take away the fact that this has happened. This still raises concerns about how buildings have been constructed in Lagos State, and if they even if they have the right permit to construct or add another layer of structure to this existing construction that was ongoing. That's the update I have for you from here. But for now, we can confirm that 1 person is dead and 3 people have been rescued alive. Oh, someone has eventually decided to speak with us. Sir, let's just quickly understand. Were you here when this happened?
No, I was around there, but I'm not actually here. By the time they were doing the foundation, I was here, and I noticed that they didn't do proper foundation for this wall.
So you were here when this building started construction. You used to see it.
The first developer that started the house, well, maybe it's a money problem between the families or whatever thing. We just noticed that they have left the foundation for more than 5 years at the foundation level then, before they come bring another developer. That one just come and begin to do skeleton, pillars and beams. I even told my colleague that this house is very, very dangerous the way they are doing it until we hear yesterday that the house is collapsed.
Do we know if at any point in time Lagos State officials, maybe building control agency, did you see them around coming to inspect the building or the work?
No, I didn't see them, but I saw they are rating things as they used to do. LAPSCA with the date of occupancy. I've never set my eyes on them, but I saw their handwriting on the thing that they used to cover the place. But immediately the thing happened, they all gathered here yesterday for the rescue of the people that injured.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. As you can hear, Joe, it's going to be very, very difficult to identify the markings of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, which that man mentioned that was inscribed on some of the structures here or one of the building, because everything right now is almost rubble. But what we can say for now is that what eyewitnesses have said is that there is the use of inferior materials, and that is what led to the collapse of this building.
Really, really sad story to be looking at there. Thank you so much, Igbalani Omoni, for bringing us live updates from Mushin. And just to come back into the studio now to speak with Mr. Abibaruno, you see that I think we had the same conversation.
Final report from the reporter.
Yeah, great report. Thank you. So we've talked about this before. This is not the first time that we've talked about it. I think it was just last week or 2 weeks ago, and we're asking where does the blame lie. But again, rinse, repeat, the same scenarios happening over and over again.
And it will be a continued conversation.
Until what?
It will be a continued concern until we get it right. When people are dying, when it bleeds, it leads. When people are dying, people will show concern about what is really going on. And you cannot exonerate the Lagos State government and its agency. You cannot, in any way. Look at what people that were interviewed, but they were saying that they've been expressing concern that this people are not doing the right thing. So, you see, before this kind of thing is done, look at the houses in that vicinity. They are all old houses. So it's a possibility that that building, that site was bought by the developer. Right? The developer was not doing it. Who gave him the approval? Were they supervising it after giving the so-called developer the approval? Those are the questions. So if there is proper monitoring and proper supervision, I think we will avoid this needless death of Lagosians and Nigerians. So I think the media should make it a burning issue, which is on the front page, which they've done this morning, so that people involved are punished. There must be consequences. This is not acceptable.
It's just really sad that, I mean, you've said the right thing that there will be consequences, but whether or not there would actually be consequences, another
it's for all the media to put it on the front burner and make sure that those involved are identified and punished.
What about the engineers? I'm sure there's a council for it.
No. If you are punishing the agency and those involved, you cannot exonerate the engineers, the project managers.
But we're seeing
a
repeated pattern of this.
No, what
are we sure some of these builders are actually registered engineers in the first place?
That is the question. But I don't think the government is doing enough.
I think that industry. I think the industry is now proliferated with. I don't want to use the word quack.
But it is. That's what it is.
Yes, it is.
Not just quacks, but greedy people as well who are looking to exploit. How do you get permission for one floor? I want to build a second floor.
Put up a building, proper approval and proper supervision.
Yes, because human beings would always like to come on, so it's the onus is on the regulators and the supervisors to do their jobs effectively.
And I think it's part of our development. We are still developing. It's going in stages. If those guys are died now, they go to court. You sue the government and you sue the conductor, you sue the agency. I believe what I'm making now. That must be damage paid. If the things are done, they will sit up and do the right thing. So we should not allow this to continue.
All right, we'll continue to talk about this as we get more updates. And our correspondent is following up with the story. And like he said, the media will continue to put this on the front pages and the front burners so that people can be held accountable. Until we make examples of certain people, we'll continue to have these situations where their building collapses, we'll make noise for it about a few days, and we move on to wait till the next building collapse occurs. Let's go to the Punch newspaper and look at the big story. The 2027 coalition is in the conversation. Atiku camp offers Obi VP role in one-term deal. Opposition leaders may dump SDP for ADC as new coalition platform. Let's look at this story.
One role. A whole meeting the president in Rome.
A whole Obi of the obedience movement to serve as VP.
Well, it will be difficult for me to lie. I don't know what the Obi camp is thinking, but I think it will be difficult. You know, I was telling you last week that nothing will come out of the PDP meeting. We have seen it now. They are already fighting. You know, I don't think an Obi that left PDP, the way it was treated, when John Atiku's team, Atiku's ticket, it will be difficult. I think if Obi's camp is doing very well, Joker card is in their hand. The man is popular, the man is pragmatic, the man is charismatic. And Obi has grown from 2023 to now. Obi is in a better position to decide, to determine the pace of the race, not being included. So I think that is not, because Atiku has becoming increasingly a liability. So I don't think so. It's possible that is what they are putting on the table for the Obi's camp to consider. But I don't think Obi people will embrace this kind of thing. This kind of offer. It cannot work. It's difficult for it to work.
Does it seem like the PDP is trying to find its feet? It seems like it's over. But of course, they're looking for a revival mode right now, and it's better looking like Obi is the right person to revive the party again.
The best bet for the PDP after last week a botched attempt to revive the organs and structures. You know, the best bet is to look for someone that is credible.
Who?
Like Obi.
Okay.
You don't like Obi's politics. Not everybody like his politics. But you fight me at home, anytime I disagree with them about Obi. Then my first son is a lawyer, you know. But Obi is very popular. Plus, people that controls the social media, people that control public space, public opinion, they support Obi, you know. And I think Obi people should play this politics well.
Is there room in
you must play it well. You must play it so that decisions and alternatives are on the table. You pick the right thing.
But is there
not joining Atiku's camp, Atiku's team as the only mate.
Can the PDP accommodate the ego of Obi?
No, of course. You see, the only way to say PDP now, PDP is in disarray. I just when I read what APC said, that the PDP is a dead body that refuses to be buried. So that is politics, you know. Okay. It's a normal thing. But Obi can save PDP from collapse. If they put issues, if they embrace him and call him to come and look at what is going on, but don't give him conditions, he will not.
And will the obedience be? Do you think that the obedience will be agreed to that, or will they be opposed to the idea of?
Don't forget that some people power this obedient group. There's some people behind obedient. There are people that Obi meet, discuss with all the times. So by the time Obi reach a decision, this obedient group will come together and look at it. That is where this man is going. How can we succeed? You know, it is based on the discussion Obi is able to have with his people.
But they are also organic
organic
obedience that just like.
But by the time Obi decide on what to do, and they call guys in the group, say, "Okay, let's go on." I don't think we're falling.
Okay.
Okay, looking at another story.
But it's that time Obi play politics well. It's a brand that must be well managed. If not well managed, what happened 2 years ago, we still repeat itself. So they must manage Obi branch, Obi brand very well. The obedient group should not be too caustic. It should be accommodating. Look at other people with different interests. Accommodate them and make sure their arrowhead is well positioned to win the next election. And play that role well. They are playing it well so far, but they should be careful on the options.
So from what you're saying, Peter Obi being able to resuscitate the People's Democratic Party and helping them in maybe potentially doing better at the elections, or maybe winning the elections.
It's part of the options the obedient group should look at.
Okay. Do you think that would then...
You know why?
Okay.
PDP is a very big party. PDP has branches everywhere in Nigeria. So it's an emergence of Obi as the leader. We animate these structures.
Do you think that would then bring back a number of the people who are very...
It's not impossible. It's a possibility. The one who wants an Obi as the arrowhead, and this clamor for power to remain in the south. But they now have a southeast person challenging President Tinubu, supposedly, in the next election. I think the terrain will be more interesting, more vibrant and more active. But they should choose their options very, very well.
But they're giving Obi a VP role.
That
one is just comments.
That is the other side. Dead on arrival.
It's an opinion. Let's look at it. I want us to look at this Tinubu approves licenses for not all projects. I mean, this is 2025. a country like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has started to look beyond oil. You have boxing bouts there, you have cultural events, you have F1 in Jeddah. This is a traditional country that builds its economy on the back of oil. But for them to see the handwriting of the world, they need to diversify. What do you make of President Tinubu's approval of licenses for North Oil Project? We've been prospecting for oil in the north for a while, and they haven't seen anything. Is it a wild goose chase? Are we just paying lip service to talks of diversification? And how serious are we about the issue of diversification? Is it necessary to still be prospecting for oil in the north?
That's a big topic. That's beyond this forum and platform. You see, it's in two ways. The first one is economic. It's not impossible that when this exploration becomes successful to benefit the country. And it's been going on for long, you know. So I think that only bad in throwing in some dollars, millions of dollars, to see if it's viable or feasible. The second part is political. Political in the sense that the president may want to satisfy some interest in the north. That okay, there's a semblance of discovery of oil in our area. We're not paying more attention. I think because I'm from the south. I think he's trying to allay those fears and say, okay, now let's try and see if it's possible. I don't forget that the more I play this game, the more favorable we will be in the polls, 2027.
So there are economic implications.
Absolutely. So that is it.
All right. We have a call from Elder David. Let's take it before we go to the next story. Good morning, Elder David. Thank you for calling.
Good morning, ma. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
It is always surprising. The article thought that people from the southeast, as himself as a Fulani man, what is good for them is just vice president. Anyway, I'm not surprised because he's good traveler. Peter Obi wants to be a vice president by every means. It is very shameful. If I may ask, which PDP are you talking about? Is it PDP, the present one? Atiku is not in charge. He cannot even contest that PDP. If we even contest, they will be defeated. Nigeria cannot be deceived. We have got a leader that don't discriminate, a leader that make Nigerians pride. Yes, he will be there. They will be defeated 2027 in whatever platform article we contest. Just take note of it. El-Rufai now shamefully have left the party because those are one of the people that ruined this country when they sold 34 parastatals that provide jobs for 3 million youths. I make all jobless. I'm a pensioner retirement in Nigeria. I'll be saying on this platform. You think God doesn't sleep? He when this man came in, he approved money for all pensioners and others. And what he's doing today is liberation. I think we thought that he will still have messengers in his farm and others, like Obasanjo and others. In 2 years' time, Nigerian youth will free education at the university level now. The children will be on the same standard, even more better than they themselves. Whether you call it article, you call it Obasanjo, you call it El-Rufai, or whatever you call it Obi. Take note of it and mark it down today. They will be defeated by 95%. On that whole platform they go. Nigeria is speaking and speaking. And everybody is like that. God will bless every one of you there who believe in truth. And God will bless Nigeria. And Nigeria will remain as one.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Do you have any quick response?
Yes, I think on the aspect of Atiku, no, it's of interest to me. The more Atiku remains in PDP, the more the problem will persist. I think the party should find a way of doing away with Atiku Abubakar. Atiku has become increasingly a liability to that party. I'm telling you. Because I was thinking that Atiku will be more influential. He will put more weight in influencing decisions at the highest level of the party in dealing with the issue of Wiki and other recalcitrant members. But Atiku has failed to do so. That shows that its relevance and consequence is waning. So I would think the more they should do less, much do less in the party. The more they bring him up, it will affect the party I don't think they need article now, that part. You should find a way of working towards a post-article era.
Wow.
In PDP. That's what we have them. I'm telling you. Because the future of PDP is at stake now. They should look for people that will help them. The Sharaki committee should not be allowed to fail. Sharaki is not the credible that we have today in Nigeria. You know, nobody's perfect, you know. But it don't be allowed to fail. But article should not be the issue in the party now.
Okay, let's move away from PDP. I do want us to take the story on the Nigerian Tribune because we've been following up with this story since last week regarding the APC ward who was kidnapped, and they demanded 100 million, eventually negotiated it to 5 million. And then on the way to deliver the 5 million, the two people who were the ransom bearers were also kidnapped. And then the kidnappers increased their demand to 30 million. The latest update on the Nigerian Tribune is that APC ward was killed. He was shot and the two ransom bearers were freed. A really sad story. Bottom left, it says, kidnappers kill APC ward chairman in Ondo after collecting 5 million naira ransom. Terrible. Really terrible statement. Terrible update there. Reflective again of the current state of insecurity in our country and the way that people kill mindlessly. It's bad enough that you kidnapped somebody. They brought the ransom to you. You still went ahead and shot him and then released it to people. So then this then says it's maybe more than just kidnapping. Maybe there was already the intent to kill, and then they wanted to use one stone to kill. That become a racket. You know, these people see it as very lucrative. I remember they're even using drones now. They're not in Bono and Zamfara. They're using drones. So it's a big racket. So I am invading and I'm stealing. When they kidnap you, the ransom, people pay. People are ordered to pay. And when they pay, because they're making money. They're making more money to buy ammunition. So the big time business. It's unfortunate that Office knows it.
Why haven't we been able to deal with this menace of kidnapping?
I think we have to ask the NSA that question. Well, I'm disturbed. You know, we're all disturbed.
And why are people still in their jobs?
And the NSA know about those should be in a position to tell Nigerians why this thing is happening. And this man was just yesterday raising alarm, governor of Borno State.
Yes,
they should not allow a community to be taken over by these terrorists. Hope they are listening. So if they say, if they are smiling and laughing in Rome, you know, so in some places in Nigeria, but people are dying.
I mean, just you say again, our condolences go to the family, friends, political party members who have served alongside Mr. Nelson Adepoigi, who was unfortunately killed by kidnappers on Friday following his abduction by some armed men at the entrance of his farm along Ifon Road last week. It's just and I'm hoping that we're seeing that this thing it's not as fast as it used to look. It's around. It's close by, you know. It can be anywhere.
I went to my village just last week.
You did what?
You went to my village. Some so-called men. Something that was impossible. Yes, they kill a woman. So this thing is coming.
And there are insinuations that some of these incidences are, you know, they're not announced frequently. They're not mentioned.
Oh yeah,
they are underreported.
So we have to be concerned, all of us. All of us need to be concerned.
Okay. Right. Let's look at last paper. Let's see if we have, I know we've seen some of the papers. There's a very interesting topic on this day. I'd like us to look at a very interesting topic there. Lopobiri, $5 billion African Energy Bank in final stage before kickoff. I mean, it's been in the talks, African Energy Bank for Africans. Although there's still worrying concerns if it's really going to be free from the Western impute, or, you know, Western, because it's for Africa. What's your take on this, by the way?
I don't know. African Energy Bank, I think it's been in the works for over 2 years now. You know, I've not really studied the feasibility. But I think if something that we are benefiting Nigerians, I think it should be encouraged.
If it's something that will finally bring light.
But that's what he said. The world is diversifying.
Yeah.
Nigeria foreign exchange is still more than 90% oil oriented. For how long? going to allow that. We should be diversified. Even the major producers, Saudi Arabia, they are more into entertainment, property, all those things. Tourism, history. You know, what are we doing about it? And this over-dependence on oil is affecting us. And if that is not taken, the future is shaken. So our leaders should take another look at those things. For example, in Nigeria, tourism and the creative industry should be given more attention.
It should be given more attention. But the problem with tourism, again, is the fact that insecurity is a major issue. How many people will be willing to travel to Kajuru?
No, they will do it holistically. It's holistically. You know, one of these things are political. You know, deal with it holistically. Yeah. Let all of us be involved.
You first start by cleaning a leadership picture and removing those many horses.
And then we should start seeing government officials, instead of going to London to review President Tinubu's past 1 year, we should start doing it. You can go to Warm Spring
things here
and all these lovely places.
Why are we paying to access public beaches in Nigeria? To enjoy beach nature, you have to pay. There's gate fee.
I mean, all the gate fee to maintain it because somebody has to cultivate.
No, that is free now.
Okay, how is it being maintained? Is it?
No, they're maintaining it. Yes.
Well, not all. With all these horses.
I mean, just to wrap things up quickly, what's your take on, you know, ex-US leader President Biden diagnosed with, you know,
former President Joe Biden?
Very sad. Really sad. Very, very sad. Don't forget that in the past few days, we've seen books, stories about the health of Biden, that he was facing this challenge before he was forced to step down. The people around him knew that this man was not coping, that he was having challenges, that he said was failing. Still, they did not tell the whole world the truth. They didn't tell the party the truth until he was forced by Kone, you know, to step down. So now that we now heard yesterday that he's having prostate cancer, then people became very sad, you know.
Do you think it was a smart move to have removed him and put in Kamala Harris?
The blame game became shifted to despondency. People became sad. They were wishing him well. No, that was the best thing for him to have done. Even if people were saying that it was a bit too late, they would have left the race earlier on to allow Kamala Harris to find her footing.
I wonder what Donald Trump has to say.
Campaign.
No, I mean, he's going to send
I don't want that.
But we are wishing well.
Donald Trump that said that ever since he...
All of us who are men, it's time for us to go and do prostate.
Yeah, he mentioned it.
I mean, I've been canvassing for it. And I think
it's very, very important.
Yeah,
I don't mind. It's coming late, but I have to do it immediately.
Please do. As soon as you leave here.
No,
I will remind you. I'll remind you with the phone call.
Please do.
Yes, I will do that.
Biologically men. Because these days, the other definitions of men.
Are you saying that there are different types of...
So the more you know earlier, the better.
There's transgender that identifies as man.
Now.
So,
okay.
It's not prevalent in Nigeria.
A male man.
Yes. Like Publicity now, he has to do it. Yes.
Later today, on Breakfast Central, this was coming up. Let's go follow Benga. Later today at 10 a.m., the ladies will be here at Jasiri. At 3 p.m., we also have the news. You take a look at what we have on the news headlines. And then 10 p.m., we've got tonight. Make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you don't miss it.
This is the time where we have to go. Thank you very much for being a part of today's broadcast. I'd like to wish Catherine Obiang, you'll be seeing her in the next hour. It was her birthday over the weekend as she turned 21, forever 21.
Woo! Happy birthday, Catherine Obiang. We love you.
Happy birthday, we love you.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I almost said we'll see you on Monday.